Louis Armstrong passed away in 1971, but his voice is still booming loud and clear today as someone who influenced the world of jazz and beyond. The man, also known as Louis and Satchmo, actually called Corona, Queens his home for much of his life.
That's right, Lori. And as we celebrate Black History Month, Lori and I got a very unique opportunity to learn more about the legend by exploring his house right in our backyard. Check it out.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Louis Armstrong's hit song, What a Wonderful World, is celebrating its 50th anniversary.
And it was all inspired by this neighborhood, Corona, Queens, where he called this house home for 28 years.
It's now preserved as the Louis Armstrong House Museum.
At the time, 1943, if you were an African American and wanted that kind of suburban lifestyle, there weren't many options. And Armstrong was one of the first jazz musicians to come out into Queens.
Ricky Riccardi is the director of research collections at the Louis Armstrong House Museum and author of What a Wonderful World, the magic of Louis Armstrong's later years.
When they moved in, it was a mixture of African American, Irish, and Italian. And they were all, he used to call himself a salary man. Anybody who made a salary, a weekly salary, those were his people. So he wanted to be with waiters and waitresses and painters and barbers and all that kind of stuff. So Corona was it. As big as God, as famous, as much money as he had, he refused to move. Once he started, that was it. I mean, Count Basie, Fats Waller, Ella Fitzgerald, Jimmy Heath, who still lives here, right down the street, Dizzy Gillespie, Billie Holiday, they all came to Queens. So one way they opened the door for New York is by making Queens like this kind of haven for jazz musicians.
And it was in this haven that the sound of music changed across the board forever.
If you listen to pop music before Armstrong, it's very stiff, it can be very corny. Vocalists especially, they would sing the songs just as written. You wouldn't change a word of it. And then Armstrong, he starts recording a lot of the same pop songs that the white singers were singing. But all of a sudden, his versions are totally different. They're totally personal interpretations. He's changing the rhythm. He's changing the melody. He's throwing in some scat singing. And these records were being released at the same time. So a record would become popular, a song would become popular. So everybody's buying the white versions, and they would buy Armstrong's version. It's like, whoa,
the original remix.
Yeah, it's like, what planet is he from? And so once young Tony Bennett, young Billie Holiday, young Frank Sinatra hears Armstrong, to this day, the way people approach pop songs and standards and all that stuff, it's still Armstrong's method.
And beyond the melodies, he used his unique influence to impact society more broadly as the civil rights movement gained momentum, led by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
He always was so proud of being black. He recorded the first protest song, What Did I Do to Be So Black and Blue, in 1929.
As he toured the world, he responded to those who questioned his absence from the protests spreading across the country.
Armstrong bristles and he goes, I support them with my donations, but the best thing I can do is play music. And if I was going to go out there and march, the first thing they would do is beat me and punch me in the face. And if they hit me in the lips, I can't play the trumpet. And if I can't play the trumpet, I can't do what I do best.
And if you'd like to explore Armstrong's home, the Louis Armstrong House Museum is open to the public. All the details are on louisarmstronghouse.org.